Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into a genuinely fascinating, honestly kind of paradoxical story that is playing out in boardrooms all over the world as we speak. I wanted to picture a mid-sized company. On paper, it's an absolute powerhouse. It's got incredibly healthy profit margins, sales are through the roof, and all the traditional financial reports are just glowing. But here's the catch. Behind closed doors, this exact same company is secretly careening toward a devastating cash flow crisis. It's literally the nightmare scenario that keeps executives awake at night. So today, we're going to unpack exactly why this happens, and more importantly, how modern technology is stepping in to solve the whole shebang.
It sounds completely contradictory, doesn't it? How does a highly profitable company just suddenly run out of cash? Well, that is the core mystery we're unraveling today. In corporate finance, the ultimate high-wire act is the dilemma of balancing profitability against liquidity. You absolutely need value creation, for sure, but you also desperately need the flexibility to handle cash challenges when things get bumpy. And this mystery usually happens because traditional reporting systems, well, they often fail to deliver the timely insights you need to balance that scale, especially when markets are shifting at lightning speed.
Okay, let's dive into this and look at the disconnect hiding right there in plain sight. Traditional analysis tells you there's no immediate concern, mainly because it's entirely focused on the profitability side of things. But here's the thing. Profitability only measures past performance on paper. It doesn't actually pay your suppliers today, right? The operational reality hiding behind our company's profitable facade is much different. Customers are suddenly taking longer to pay their invoices, and unsold inventory is just piling up in the warehouse. That operational data, that is the real map to your future cash reality, and traditional reports completely miss the warning signs.
Section 1. Diagnosing the gap. Let's look at exactly why leadership missed this.
So how did a team of highly experienced leaders miss such glaring warning signs? Well, it's absolutely vital to understand that the managers in our story aren't incompetent, not at all. They're actually victims of a concept defined by Herbert Simon way back in 1997 called bounded rationality. Essentially, it just means managerial decision-making is naturally limited. Human beings simply don't have all the perfect information, the endless time, or frankly, the infinite mental bandwidth required to make flawless choices in a fast-moving, really complex environment. They were literally just doing the best they could with the limited tools they had.
And those limited tools create the true villain of our story, the information to action gap. Imagine our company's CFO sitting at their desk, right? They're celebrating a Q3 report that shows record profits. But that report is essentially a ghost. It's past data. Out in the real world, at that exact very moment, a major client is defaulting on a payment and inventory is just sitting idle. The gap is that terrifying delay between reading an old financial report and realizing you actually need to take action today. By the time they know they need to act, it's usually already too late. Now, the root of this gap lies in our really common fundamental confusion. People often confuse explanatory modeling with predictive modeling. It's like apples and oranges. Explanatory models, like your traditional financial KPIs, are built to explain the past. They do a great job telling you why you were profitable last quarter. But predictive models are what you actually need to anticipate emerging risks. When your entire system is designed merely to explain what already happened, your organization is inevitably going to respond far too late to the risks that are forming right now.
Let's see how this builds on the actual tools managers are using. Look at the practical differences here. Traditional models rely heavily on linear relationships and static, manual updates. But we all know the real world isn't static, it is incredibly messy and dynamic. AI-based models, on the other hand, are uniquely designed to continuously learn from massive, heterogeneous data. So instead of just spitting out a static ratio based on rigid assumptions, AI outputs probabilities and scenarios that actually adapt to messy real-world conditions as they happen. It's a total game changer. Section 2. Climbing the Analytics Pyramid. We're bringing AI into the story, not as a magic wand, but as a mentor.
Now, to fix this gap, we need artificial intelligence. But again, not as some magic wand that just replaces human judgment. Think of it more as a critical mentor that shifts our entire analytics paradigm. If we walk through the analytics pyramid, traditional finance mostly lives at the bottom two layers, right? Descriptive, telling us what happened, and diagnostic, telling us why. But look at the top layers. AI adds the absolute greatest value at the predictive level, meaning what might happen, and the prescriptive level, what should we do? Moving up this pyramid definitely requires more sophistication, but it generates the exact forward-looking insights organizations desperately need to anticipate future outcomes.
Section 3. Fueling AI with new data. Let's see what it takes to reach the top of that decision pyramid.
To actually save our fictional company, the AI requires way more than just traditional financial ledgers.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it fundamentally redefines what counts as financial data. Ledgers alone tell a super incomplete story. To get a truly realistic, holistic view of business dynamics, AI integrates behavioral data, operational data, market data, and even macroeconomic indicators. It pulls all these separate threads together to uncover insights that a standard spreadsheet could literally never possibly reveal.
Let's tie these specific, non-financial, operational data points directly back to our mid-sized company scenario. While traditional systems were blindly celebrating those profit margins, what was the AI system actually tracking? Well, it was watching customer payment pattern delays. It noticed decreasing inventory turnover rates in real time. It monitored shifting macroeconomic indicators and fluctuating supplier reliability. By tracking these precise operational signals, the AI was actually able to spot their impending cash shortage long before it ever hit the official financial statements.
Section 4. The 5-Step AI Framework. Here is the structured process management uses to turn those signals into action.
And this brilliantly illustrates the continuous iterative cycle management needs to use. Notice who is sitting right there in the center. It's management. AI doesn't just print out a single definitive answer and take over running the company. Instead, it provides probabilistic insights, while human management remains firmly at the center to evaluate complex trade-offs. It perfectly preserves human accountability while heavily leveraging AI's analytical strengths.
Let's walk through these 5 steps to reveal the real climax of our scenario. First, data integration combines the operational and financial data. Second, pattern recognition spots the exact deviations, like those late customer payments we talked about. Third, risk estimation translates those signals into a probabilistic warning of a cash shortage. Fourth is scenario evaluation. This is absolutely crucial. This is where management solves the ultimate dilemma, liquidity versus profitability. Warned by the AI, they realized they had to sacrifice a little bit of short-term profitability by pausing their corporate expansion just to free up life-saving liquidity and renegotiate terms. Finally, decision feedback loops the outcome right back into the system to make it even smarter for next time. By following these steps, they entirely avoided a liquidity crisis that traditional analysis totally missed. They saved the company.
Section 5. Becoming a Decision Architect. Let's redefine modern leadership.
So the crucial point is that this framework completely redefines the fundamental role of modern leadership in finance. As the quote says, AI changes the finance manager's role from report interpreter to decision architect. Think about that. You are no longer paid simply to calculate numbers and tell people what happened yesterday. Instead, modern leaders must spend their time asking the right forward-looking questions, weighing those complex trade-offs, and turning predictive insights into actionable strategy. You're out there building the future, not just auditing the past.
We've seen exactly how bridging the information-to-action gap can literally save a company from total disaster. We know for sure that AI can integrate operational data to predict the future of your cash flow. But remember, the technology is only half the equation. The real question I want to leave you with today is this: are you ready to stop interpreting the past and actually become the architect of your next big decision? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I can't wait to explore more fascinating insights with you next time.